Hey, what's up, friends and fam? It's Tina from the High Ground, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're sharing our right after watching raw movie review of the 5-time Oscar nominated movie, The Zone of Interest. The Zone of Interest is about a Nazi commandant, Rudolf, and his wife Hedwig trying to build a dream life for their family near the Auschwitz concentration camp. If you haven't already, subscribe to our channel, we'd really appreciate it. Now, please enjoy our raw movie review of The Zone of Interest.
We just walked out
Of watching Zone of Interest.
Yes, I believe it's an Oscar-nominated movie.
Yeah, it's nominated for Best Picture.
So that's kind of what led us to come watch this movie.
Although we have watched these type of movies before, just not as frequent. But they're not released that frequent either.
They're not a wide release, especially where we live. So we did have to slightly search for it. The theater's still kind of close, but it's not one we're used to coming to.
This theater is old, uncomfy, but it's cute. It's quaint.
It is quaint.
And I think we should start first by just quick list what did we like, and a quick list what we didn't like.
Okay, you want to go first?
I'll just first shoot out that I liked the composition.
Yeah. That's a great word, because I was trying to figure it out while I was watching it.
Yeah, I really like the composition. Did anything
like the juxtaposition of things, right? Like you said, the imagery you're seeing, it was...
Yeah, the imagery
is in a sense colorful.
It's
very, like, they have a lot of things going on with the foreground, with the background. There's a lot of...
There's movement, but not because of the camera. And I like that too. And anything else you like? The music?
I like the music. I like... There were some transitions that were like, oh, that was nice. But I think they didn't want to overdo it because, again, that's not the point of this, what they're trying to tell.
It's almost kind of hard to know the point. And that's one of the things I guess I don't like. It's very hard to follow when you have no idea what the ending is going to be, right? Like,
yeah.
It was hard to follow because I didn't know what the point was. And I think that's something I didn't like, but it's one of its ways of being creative and how it's presenting the story, right? Anything you didn't like?
I think kind of the same thing. It was a little bit hard to follow what, like, really the climax was, what the problem there was trying to solve, but I mean,
it's one of those movies.
It's really it was really tough to just kind of really put yourself in the movie, right? Because that's what I feel like a lot of movies do, right? There's always a character that's very just general, so the audience member can put themselves in their shoes as they go through the adventure or whatever's going on. Here, I think they had bits of trying, or not trying, but showing that there's humanity still in these people.
That they're still
people. They're still people. They're going through people problems, doing people things, and it just is that they're the worst kind of fucking people, right?
Yeah.
I think the closest that we've got to that I could say I would put myself into their shoes, I think would be two people, or two characters, is the grandma that came to visit, and the local girl that works there and lives there with them. The one that takes care of the children. And you could just see it every night, eating them up, being there, being that close, hearing what they're hearing, and knowing that everyone else is just okay with it. And
I totally get what you mean, and the scarcity of relatability, right?
Yeah.
But let's kind of dive a bit deeper on what we liked. I feel like there's a bit more to talk about there. Like we were saying, I really like the composition. I think that's its biggest drawing factor, in my opinion, because you don't see camera so still anymore. It literally did not move. There was only one sequence where it did. From what I can remember, only one scene where the camera moved with the characters, and that was in the garden as the wife and grandma were walking through the sunflowers. The camera panned with them, And I was like, whoa, where did that come from? What's about to happen? Mm-hmm. I don't know if something actually did happen for it to do that, but everything else was still shots.
I will say it gave me like that eeriness of like a horror movie because it let your imagination and your knowledge of the situation and the scenarios that have happened where it's located at.
We know.
And it's just fucking terrifying.
It is terrifying.
And it's fucking disgusting to see them just live there and be okay with it and just be happy. So like happy. Literally fighting to stay.
So happy with what they've built.
It's fucking it's icky. It's icky.
It's very icky, and if the movie didn't let you hear those things, you would not know. You would not know where you were at.
And it was from the start too. They like made it a point from the title card. I felt like where it just lingered, and all you heard was the mix, the sound mix, right? Like just the sound coming from the background, screen's black. And it holds. For the longest 2 minutes.
2 minutes, you thought?
It felt like 2 minutes. Because I was like, holy shit, how fucking brave, dude.
It made you a point, like you're saying, it forced you
to always be hearing.
Open your ears, bro, because this movie is not all that you see.
Not that you see.
Yeah. And it was so eerie, but what's crazy to me, again, is that it's so hard to say. Nothing happens to the people we're watching.
No.
Nothing huge.
I wouldn't say there's no comeuppance. Yeah. There's nothing that you see, right? There's no, like...
But I'm anticipating. Like, I'm waiting for something. And I'm thinking, oh, like, are they going to go through a bombing? Are they going to go, like, are they going to get...
nothing.
Nothing. But that's not the point, right? And I didn't really realize it until later in the movie, until this last scene, in my opinion, where I was like, okay, I get it. I get it now. You're not necessarily telling me the story of this family. You're telling me a perspective. You're showing me a perspective that most people don't acknowledge, that these folks are sadists, dude. That they live their life, that they genuinely believe this was their livelihood, and it's just sad. But the way the movie is doing it is what's good.
Yeah.
And that's why it's nominated.
Yeah, it's beyond clever. It is, like you're saying, a completely different perspective that we've ever received on a movie like this, right?
Yeah, it's not only unique, like, on how it's telling a story, but it's also visually unique.
Yeah, there is a lot of like I said, the fucking juxtaposition, and then like just the distinguished images that you see from the background and the foreground. They couldn't be more fucking polar opposites.
Yeah,
and that's what really is just, it makes it an uncomfortable viewing, and it's
because
it's just such a heavy fucking topic, dude.
No.
And I think like we've been saying, I think it really comes from opening your ears and hearing it, and you're not seeing it, and your brain knows, and you're just filling in those blanks of what's going on.
There's some additional visuals that at first I was so confused about, and it was like, as he's telling this story, we're introduced to a different character, but our view is like almost like infrared. Like if you're
night vision.
Night vision. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's what it is. And we can't see details. We can't see characteristics. We don't see traits. We don't see color. It's just black and white.
Oh.
And we just see her actions. Yeah. And her actions, I think there was no sound. Or maybe there was a little bit of sound.
Not on her.
Her actions are what speaks louder than anything else. Because at first you don't realize what she's doing, but the second time we see her, we immediately were like, oh, okay, at least, okay, I see what she's doing. She's trying to help these people. She's trying to feed them. She's trying to show some kind of compassion, and she's the only one. And look how young she is. And I was shocked that we saw her enter her home, and how, bam, like, again, the visuals change, the color change, and we see it in regular color. And I was just so shocked that we even saw that. Mm-hmm. And when she was playing that song on the piano,
oh, heart-wrenching,
it was
man.
so heartbreaking.
It was so tough.
I loved the subtitles. I loved that there were subtitles for certain moments that there weren't any dialogue. Mm-hmm. There was no conversation happening, but the subtitles were going on to tell you what you should know. And mm-hmm. that's the lyrics to this song.
I think that you bring it up, that was probably one of the highlights of the movie, to be honest.
Yeah. The last scene I have to bring up because it was also very shocking to me. How, like you're saying, just the juxtaposition, like how quick we switch from this kind of like eerie scene of him going down the stairs and it's dark and you don't really know what's going on, but you can see him like starting to get sick. And then it just switches to some kind of, I don't even like, I think it's a more modern.
No, they're showing you how it looks right now.
Like how you see it now.
If you were to go to Auschwitz right now, that's
your perspective again, right?
Yeah.
Our perspective is that you see these things at a museum. You hear it in a movie. You read it in a book.
You learn it in school. Yeah.
Yeah, and people aren't like faced with that reality. The actual just horrific events, right?
I mean, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
And I really like that it kind of ended in this sense where the man was continuing down the stairs and it was getting darker and darker and darker, almost to say that he, like, these people, him representing his people, were just getting more evil. We're just going down to hell, like, deeper and deeper. That's how I interpreted it.
No, pretty close. That's pretty close to how I was thinking.
I'm glad we came to watch it, though, because it is a story worth telling.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, like I've always said, you gotta learn from history. If not, you're doomed to repeat it, right? So
absolutely, and here we are.
Yeah.
And not only that, you know, like we're just to summarize, it's a beautiful movie in how the camera works and how the photos look and the colors visually, right? Not necessarily the events that were.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say. Like it's. I understand why it's nominated. I understand that it is. We understand because we watched it. It's a very fucking heavy movie.
Yeah, but also as movie fans, like not just average moviegoers, as film fans, like we can see how this kind of moved the needle a bit, or at least broke the glass. Like there is a reason why people are talking about this movie, and it is because of how it was made and like how uniquely it's telling the story. But the story itself, like if you were to take literally what we saw and the family we were following, like I don't know if I could say that it's.
Yeah, I think this is definitely, like you were saying at the beginning, I don't think this is a movie that you would recommend to your average moviegoer to go check out, because
it's hard to follow.
It's hard to follow. There's not your typical action sequences. There's really no comeuppance at the end, you know, that which you're kind of rooting for, right? Something to happen to these terrible people.
Kind of hard to rate too.
It is hard to rate.
Do you have a rating in mind?
I did, and it wasn't going to be anything too crazy. I was at a soft 8.
Me too.
Yeah.
Like an 8.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the average score it's getting around. But I'm happy that we got to come to this theater. We don't normally come to it, and it's always kind of nice just to come to these smaller theaters.
It makes you kind of appreciate your regular theater, at least to me. My neck is kind of stiff now, but thank you for coming out with me on another Thursday night to enjoy another movie, boo.
Thank you. I'm glad we got to come out, watch a movie. Well, yeah, thanks for joining us and listening to our movie review, our raw movie review. If you like this type of video, give us a thumbs up. We really appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed, definitely do that, because we'd love to make more friends on here. Drop a comment down below if you watched The Zone of Interest, or if you watched any of the Best Picture nominees.
Yeah.
Let us know which one you like the most, which one we should catch, because we actually didn't watch a lot of them.
I mean, yeah.
And so we'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.